Hello. Hello, girly pops. My name is Ingelore and welcome back to Hello. You know our little tradition. The drink of the day, it's a mint tea, and honestly, my Owala is literally nowhere to be found, but that's okay. That's okay. And yes, that is my emotional support water bottle, but I can survive with it. I hope. Anyways, we're going to cut right to the chase. Today, we're talking about something that's been on my mind lately, okay? Not knowing what you're doing with your life and why that's okay. I feel like we all have this idea that we're all supposed to know what we're doing, where we're going, how we're doing it by a certain age. And to be honest, we are all figuring it out as we go. Even your parents are still figuring it out. And you know why? This is all of our first time living life. It's your mom's first time being a mom. It's your dad's first time being a dad. It's your first time being a daughter. And like, I know, reincarnation, whatever else, you don't remember it, okay? It's fully erased from your memory, so you're starting from zero, therefore it's your first time. So if you've been stressing out about your life, about feeling behind, comparing yourself with the people on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on whatever it is, girly, this is the episode for you, okay? Because we are talking about why you don't have to have everything figured out, how to stop stressing about being behind, and how to actually start trusting your own path. Because I think that's the hardest part, to be honest, trusting the universe. I think there's a societal expectation to have your entire life figured out by 25, or at least when I was growing up, that was like, the cutting edge of, well, if you don't have it figured out by here, you're a failure. I am 26, and let me tell you, I do not have my life figured out, and to some people, my life might seem like a dream, but I don't have it figured out. I know that when I was little, my entire life, I always said, I am going to be pregnant and with a child by the time I'm 26, 27. Okay. Now I look back and I'm like, what the frick was I thinking? Absolutely no, under no circumstances. Now, mind you, never did I ever say I want a husband and no. Since I was like 13 years old, I said I am going to be an IVF mom because I do not want to deal with a man. I mean, I can just get to pick whatever outfit I want for my kid without having to consult it with somebody. A dream to me. Now I look back and I still love the idea, to be honest, but I'm not opposed to having a partner, of course. Regardless, I feel like growing up, we were all just told this lie of what does success look like. Having a big house, having a big family and a dog and a huge backyard. The perfect husband with the perfect jobs. You were told what your marriage was supposed to look like. You were told what your friendships were supposed to look like. To have friends for over 10 years, 20 years, by the time you get into your 40s, whatever. We've been told what our life is supposed to look like. So when we don't achieve that, cookie cutter situation, we feel like a failure, but you're not a failure. You're just on your own path. And social media also literally does not help. And you know this because I mentioned this on every single episode. Social media is just a freaking highlight, okay? And as someone who does social media, it's just a highlight. People are seeing my perfect little meal, my meal preps that I'm making every Sunday. They don't see how my kitchen is turning out. They don't see that. No one sees that. But, when somebody posts the perfect car, the 2024 Porsche Cayenne, you're just seeing the picture of the car. You don't know if those people went into debt for that car. Can they afford it? Are they just doing it for the picture? You literally don't know. And you know how this goes, girl. Like, I am going to tell you right now a little story time, a little chisme of my life so that you can truly, deeply connect with the learning of the whole episode. In case you didn't know, or in case I haven't mentioned it, I came to the US when I was 19 years old, okay? 19 years old. I had started college back home, but I came to the US, okay? I had to immigrate from my home, and I came to the US with no family, no friends, nobody, okay? I came as an au pair to work and take care of children. That was such a nerve-wracking time. Back home, I was supposed to be a doctor, okay? I had a scholarship for med school. I had gotten what I had always wanted. It was my dream, okay, to be a doctor. I had to leave everything behind to come to the US and be a nanny, which I think, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with any job. If you're doing a job and, you're making it truthfully and, I don't know how to say, honradamente, like, I don't know, you're earning your money, then you're good, okay? There's nothing wrong with any job. Now, from the aspirations of being a doctor to going to be a babysitter, it was like my dreams came crashing down on me. And listen, at 19, I look back and I'm like, your life is just starting. You can literally do whatever you want. But at that time, I felt like well, all of my friends are already in college. I'm starting from zero, $0 in my bank account, absolutely no work, no work experience anywhere. What in the world am I doing? And of course, I started to feel like a failure. But honestly, to most people, they just saw me like, wow, she made it to the US. She's earning in US dollars. And mind you, I was living in like a $5 million house in the Oakland Hills. On paper, I was living like a really, really nice life, right? Because I had everything provided for me, whatever else. No one really knew the reality of what I was going through. Okay. I think that's the first time I ever experienced like depression, because it was a lot, to adapt, to go somewhere without anybody. You're by yourself on a different language, and you're living with the people that you're working for. It's an experience that I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But to each their own, right? And having to start from zero means a lot. As I said, was in a very depressive state, and I met who became my husband, now ex-husband. And honestly, he kind of just made everything worse. But when you're so vulnerable, you kind of just stick with whoever gives you a little bit of love, a little bit of attention, a little bit of affection. You will stick with that person because that's what you think it's love. Like, you're not even thinking about it that much. Regardless, throughout the years of me being an au pair, which is 2 years, and then years of being married, which I was also a nanny, not an au pair, because an au pair kind of like lives with the family and gets severely underpaid. But as a nanny, that I wasn't living with families anymore, I genuinely was wondering, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm so smart. Okay, I could be a doctor, I could be in med school right now. Why am I taking care of children? Like, because also it's honestly so draining, and it is rewarding in the sense of like the kids love you and you genuinely feel their love. Like, they're not bullshitting around. Like, when a kid likes you, they like you and they let you know that they like you. Okay. And that part was so rewarding, but I would go home and be exhausted and have technically nothing to show on a resume. I didn't feel like I was evolving professionally. I felt like I was stuck. And I remember those years with a lot of fear of, oh my gosh, am I wasting my youth? Am I wasting my good years of energy and, beauty and whatever else? It was, all of these thoughts were going through my head. And now I look back and I'm like, girl, you had to go through all of that so that you can get where you're at right now. And if you heard my other episodes, I am so sorry to repeat it, but I got my now job. I'm a paralegal at a law firm thanks to a friend of, or like an acquaintance of my ex, okay, which they're now my friends. Anyways, if I hadn't gone through being a nanny or being an au pair, I wouldn't have met my ex. If I hadn't met my ex, I wouldn't have met these friends. If I didn't meet these friends, I wouldn't have the job that now provides for me and like lets me live my life to the fullest and pretty extra, may I add. Anyways, those were 5 years. I mean, since 2019 until 2023, I believe, that I was a nanny / an au pair. I was unemployed for a little bit. Those were years where I was genuinely wondering, what in the world am I doing with my life? Also, I started a business for like a year of that, so a whole other story. Regardless, I learned a lot. And now I look back and I'm like, the patience that I have now to deal with some of the clients at the law firm would not be within my toolbox if I wasn't a nanny. Because I wasn't losing it with the kids. I think I'm generally like a very patient person. I'm not just going to blow up and explode. But the kids trained me for that. And to be honest, I also have to talk to some clients sometimes like their kids. And where did I learn that? From being a nanny. Those were excruciating, very anxiety-filled years that I didn't know what was going on or where was I going. I didn't know where was I going. And to be honest, when you're living life kind of just like with blindfolds on and you have no clue where you're going, that is absolutely terrifying. But here's where I'm coming with, you have to trust the process and you have to trust the universe to put you in the right path, because you can choose it for yourself. Now I look back at 19-year-old me or like 18-year-old me that was in college, whatever. I don't want to be a doctor. I do not want to be a doctor. Thank God I didn't embark in like a freaking 14-year-long trip. For what? Because I wanted to be a neurosurgeon because I have epilepsy. So that was like a little bit close to what felt like home to me. Because I had been to neurologists my entire life to treat my epilepsy. So, you know how many years I would have had to give to be a neurosurgeon? And this takes us to the myth of being left behind. You're being left behind compared to who? Compared to who? There's literally not like a standard universal timeline that everyone has to follow. Listen, I have friends that graduated high school with me, okay? Now they have their degrees. They have absolutely $0 in their bank accounts because they're in a country that does not allow to have savings. They're never even going to dream of buying a car, used or brand new. They can't dream of buying a new car because that's not a possibility back home, okay? And here I am. I have my car. I could buy another car if I wanted, brand new from a dealership. I could put a down payment for a house if I really wanted to. I can travel the world. Like, I can do whatever I want because I've been saving money. I mean, I've been working a lot, but I've been saving money, right? I don't have a degree. I don't have like the most fanciest job ever. I mean, I think my job's pretty cool, honestly, but it's not like I'm not an investment banker. I have no idea, honestly, what's a fancy job. I'm not a lawyer. But I have friends that are lawyers and that are making $15 a month. $15 a month. $15 a month. And yes, you're going to think, oh my gosh, well, but like your country maybe allows for somebody with $15 a month to live, which also I'm pretty sure the minimum wage is like $5 a month. I'm actually going to look that up. As of May of 2024, the minimum wage in Venezuela for a month, okay, not minimum wage per hour, no, for a month, is $3.50 US dollars, okay? That is absolutely outrageous when you go buy some cheese and everything is dollarized. I mean, they're charging you for everything on US dollars, so you go buy a little bit of cheese and it's $15 for 15 grams. I have no idea. How are you affording anything if you're making $3.50, okay? And that's for like a whatever minimum wage employee. I have friends that are attorneys, fully graduated attorneys, that are making $15 a month. Now you tell me, am I behind on the race because I didn't go to college or I haven't gone to college yet? Because I do want to go. I just haven't been able to, right? Am I behind in the race of somebody that like sure has a title, like a degree, but he's making $15 a month? I don't think I'm behind. Also, can we please agree as a collective that life is literally not a race? The only reason why you're feeling behind, bestie, is because you're comparing your journey to somebody else. And let me tell you something. You're comparing your journey to somebody else who maybe had more opportunities than you, okay? A higher start than you. If I compare myself to Kim Kardashian, are we the same? No, we're not the same. She grew up in Beverly Hills with maybe not rich parents, but pretty well off parents. She had the possibility to do kind of whatever she wanted at whatever age she wanted. I didn't. I had to start from zero. I had to provide for me and my family. I've been working since I was 14 years old, okay? Because I wanted to help around the house with groceries and whatnot. How am I going to compare my journey to Kim Kardashian and feel like I'm behind? Or who is closer in age to me? Maybe Kendall Jenner or Kylie Jenner. I think I'm in between them both. But how am I comparing my life to Kylie Jenner? Because let's say I wanted to have kids right now. Am I in a position to have kids right now? No, I'm not a billionaire. I would want to give the absolute best to a kid. And I'm not going to do that right now because I can't. But Miss Kylie Jenner is a billionaire with, I don't know how many kids she has. 3, maybe 2. I have no idea. Those kids are set for life. Mine wouldn't. So why would I compare myself to Kylie Jenner? We are not in the same position. So why are you comparing yourself to literally anybody else? Even your neighbor. Why are you comparing yourself to anybody? It makes no sense. And you know why? Success literally looks different for everybody. Some peak at 16, some peak at 22, some peak at 40. It'll be different for everybody. You don't have to peak at 16 like Alabama Barker did. She's not 16, but anyways, you don't have to peak at her same age. And as I said, I personally believe that a big part of comparing comes from social media and you seeing a amped up version of what everyone is living. Let me tell you something. At this point, after 5 years of having made content for socials, I have a lot of girlfriends in this field. Okay, I have a lot of acquaintances in this field. You can see the most beautiful girls that to my eyes are 10s out of 10s with the most beautiful life. And I know these girls, okay, like I know they are living a good life and I know they're stunning in real life. Like they're not just photoshopped, okay? The levels of depression that some of these girls have, the level of low self-esteem, it's insane. You wouldn't believe it. You would think, how is someone like you living a life like yours feeling so bad? Like, I would want to be you. No, you wouldn't want to be them. You wouldn't want to be them. Because let me tell you what, they are so depressed because they are chasing a high. They are chasing the beauty. They are chasing all of these things that they never feel like they're there. Okay. They never quite feel like they have what they want, what they need. So that feeling of hollowness, of emptiness, brings them the fuck down. You don't want to be them. Sure, you might want a pretty car, you might want a pretty face, because you best believe their face cards never decline, but you don't want to be where they're at. It's a really, really dark place. Bottom line, social media isn't real life. It's simply not. People will always post their wins, not their struggles. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you're going to stop comparing. Or at least I hope you're going to stop comparing. Because to be honest, you are not behind. You are, as I said, on your own timeline. And if you stopped comparing yourself for 5 seconds, you realize that you're doing just fine. If you actually sit down, straighten your thoughts, and you start thinking about what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, you're going to realize that you're just fine. And actually, if you sit down and you realize that you're not fine and you don't like where you're at, great. Change it. If you have the capability to change where you're at because you simply don't want to be there, change it. And I generally try to practice what I preach. Last night I wasn't feeling great, okay? I never journal, and I've learned through therapy that you don't have to journal just because everybody's journaling. If it doesn't work for you, that is fine. And sometimes for me, journaling feels just like a lot because I have a lot of thoughts and feelings, and writing them down just feels like I'm reliving everything and bringing it up to surface. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, why am I doing this to myself? Regardless, last night I said, I want to use these stickers, so I'm going to journal. And I sat down and I journal, and my thoughts weren't pretty at all. And I was like, why am I doing X, Y, and Z? I need to redo it. I need to restart, okay? And although there were a lot of things, I'm just going to give you a quick example. I feel like lately I haven't been doing my best on social media. I've been very overwhelmed by life in general. So I feel like I've been leaving social media behind a little bit. I feel like, yeah, sure, the podcast is slaying the house down, but my Instagram isn't, my TikTok isn't. I feel like I'm just posting just to post and just to get things out, but I'm not really being fully conscious and fully aware of the content that I want to put out. And my social media is my babies. I cannot just let them go. I also feel like I built a good relationship with some brands that I want to keep up for a while. And I mean, realistically, brands are not going to send you stuff. They're not going to want to work with you if you're not relevant. You still have to pull numbers. You still have to pull engagement and views and whatever. So last night I sat down and I said, okay, I'm sad because blah, 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 blah. This morning I woke up and I'm like, no, I need a new strategy. And you best believe I chat GPT for the next hours, maybe 4 hours. I sat down and I planned my entire next month's content, which I have to sit down and make, which is the issue. But regardless, if you don't like where you're at and where you're headed, change it. You don't have to follow it just because. You truly don't have. Now, the people that seem confident, do they actually know what they're doing it or why they're doing it? No. They simply trust themselves and they trust the process more than you do. And no, it's not because they have it all figured out. They've simply learned to live and to accept uncertainty. They accept and understand that not knowing what's going on doesn't mean that you're a failure, doesn't mean that you're behind. They simply know that not knowing means that you're going to get to a point where you're going to understand things. And as long as you get to that point, the path, you'll figure it out as you go. But the secret is that no one ever gets to a point where they simply know everything. They arrive to a destination and they say, life is figured out. No, no. Think about the most successful people you ever know, okay? And to whatever field you want to put it to, the Kardashians, Michael Jordan in sports, whatever you want to put it to. All of these successful people have probably at some point sat down in their pajamas on their bed, a little bit panicked, and said, what am I doing? What in the world am I doing? I'm pretty sure everyone's gone through it, okay? Everyone's human. And I would actually love to have people here that have gotten to very high up places so that we can interview them and they can share with you the thought of yeah, I also didn't know what I was doing. And, even now, like there's times where I feel like I am doing great and times where I feel like I am failing at everything. And that's okay because we are human. So whenever you're feeling a little bit down about yourself and about your life and whatever else, just think about it. Think about it. Do you think Rihanna knew the entire time that Fenty was going to be the success that it is? That it was going to take her to be a billionaire? She probably didn't. I mean, she probably knew that it was going to be a slay the house down, but she probably sat down on her bed or on a desk saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to get over this? How am I going to think about Hailey Bieber? Okay, that girl has been put through the ringer, Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that I like her or I don't like her. I actually do not care. Do you think Hailey Bieber, with all of the dramas that have unfolded throughout her life, hasn't sat down and said, well, this is going to be the end of my brand. Road is over. That's it. Goodbye, investors. Goodbye, workers. Goodbye, everybody. Nobody's purchasing. She's probably sat down and thought that exact same thing. But it continued to go, okay? And Road is doing great. She's probably doing great. I think she either just had a baby or still pregnant. I honestly don't know. But Hailey Bieber probably sat down and said, what am I doing with my life and how am I going to move forward after this? And you're no different than her. I mean, sure, budgets are different, lifestyles are different for sure, but you're human too. You also don't know what you're doing and you are going to figure it out, bestie. But what you do have to do to be able to figure things out? Follow me across socials. You can find the podcast as at It's a Law Podcast on every platform. And you can find me as at Ingelore Dubs on every single platform. But no, for real. What you do have to do to be able to figure things out when the time comes is to embrace the unknown. I know this is hard. I also don't like it because I'm very much so like an OCD type of person, very type A. I have to know what's going on, when it's going on. My boyfriend is very much so, let's just go with the flow. And I'm like, yeah, but at what time is the flow? Okay. What's the dress code of the flow? But you generally just have to embrace the unknown. Life is a constant state of figuring things out. And if you develop the ability to just figure things out as they come, you're going to be a lot more successful, a lot happier, a lot more chill in a lot of things because you're just embracing it. And stop waiting for clarity before taking action. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Clarity comes from doing, not from overthinking. Oh, you've been wanting to post TikToks or you've been wanting to be an influencer. You haven't posted a single TikTok? Okay. Are you overthinking it? Probably. And then you're wondering, well, what TikTok is gonna go viral? None of them if you don't post them. None of them if you don't post them. So stop overthinking. Start doing. And honestly, I cannot believe these words are gonna come out of my mind. Just make peace with uncertainty. You do not have to have control over absolutely everything. A lot of my happiest moments of like my memories have been made out of not planning anything, okay? Or like things that I completely planned and they went completely wrong. And I ended up just enjoying those moments. Last year in August, we planned a road trip to Seattle. Tell me why none of the scheduled programming went as I wanted, but my boyfriend and I still had so much fun. There were so many laughs across the way, things that I didn't plan out, things that just happened. And in the moment, I was really upset that it happened, not the way that I wanted. But now I'm just like, oh my gosh, these were happy moments. I just didn't know it at the time. So just embrace the unknown. Please do it. Try it. At least try it. And because I mentioned this on every single episode, you, me, everybody needs a brain rebrand where we tweak and twist our brain to think the way that we actually wanted to think about. And maybe you should start your brain rebrand by asking, instead of what if I fail, ask, but what if it works out? What if it works out? What if you post that first video and it just goes viral? What if you post that 10th video and you have 100,000 followers? What if it works out? Girlies, the not knowing what you're doing doesn't mean that you're a failure, okay? It doesn't mean that you're behind. It simply means that you're human. The difference between the people that get stuck and that are failures versus the people that succeed is that the people that succeed are the ones that kept moving forward anyways. Like, regardless of the situation, they kept moving forward. They didn't stay stuck saying, my life sucks. I am behind on everything. No. Simply no. Those people keep trying to figure things out as they come. They don't stay stuck overthinking. What if? No. So who do you want to be? Do you want to be stuck or do you want to be successful? just leaving that for some food for your brain. And to start closing this up and wrapping this up, because I am tired, if you're 15, 20, 30, 35, you don't have to have your entire life figured out right away. No one has it. And regardless of where you're at, instead of thinking, what's next, start thinking, what happens now? What am I doing right now? Because this is the only thing that you can change, and it's going to affect the what next for sure, but you can only affect the now. You can only work on the now. Why are you focusing on the next? It's not gonna happen, girl. Focus on now. And from the bottom of my heart, if you needed a little bit of a sign that you are not failing just because you're feeling a little bit lost, this is it. Keep going. Keep figuring it out as you go. And remember, this is your first time doing life. You don't have to be perfect at it. Anyways, girly pops, that is it for this episode. If it resonated with you, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if someone that you know is feeling a little bit lost, please send this to them. Sometimes we just need a little bit of a reminder that we are doing just fine, or that we are going to be just fine. I'll see you in the next episode. Besitos.